Racist black celebrities demand $150 billion from taxpayers. Look what they plan on doing with it. After 8 years of Barack Obama's race-baiting antics, race relations in our country are at an all-time low. Now, every time we turn around, blacks have another bone to pick with white America, as they continue to demand that white people pay reparations for something they had nothing to do with that occurred over 200 years ago. So it should come as no surprise that race-baiting celebrities have found a new thing to complain about, and the sick thing they're demanding from white Americans to end racism will make you absolutely livid. There was a time in our country that racism did exist, but that has not been an issue for many years, that is until Barack Obama was elected as president 8 long years ago. Shortly after becoming president, Obama began to stir the pot, creating issues in a country that had long since healed. Instead of Obama focusing on the great strides we made as a country, he fanned the flames of division by pitting Americans against each other. So much so that now celebrities are getting in on the action and demanding that Americans give up their hard-earned money to combat racism in America. Here is more from Downtrend. Last week Mick published a bullshit article titled 23 Everyday Actions Punishable by Death If You're Black in America. It is a series of lies and misrepresentations of the circumstances leading to many of the high-profile deaths of blacks recently, and its purpose was to inflame racial tensions. Unfortunately, those tensions didn't get inflamed enough, so they released a companion video piece this week with black celebrities trying to whip the country into a race war. The best part about this piece of crap is it comes with a demand for $150 billion of our money to end racism. So just what are these ways that black people are unjustly killed in America? Well, according to Alicia Keys, failing to signal a lane change. She is talking about Sandra Bland, who was pulled over in Texas for a moving violation, attacked a police officer, and then hung herself in jail. Clearly, she wasn't killed for failing to signal, she killed herself for reasons known only to her. Pink says Eric Garner was killed for selling cigarettes at a corner store, when in reality he died of a heart attack while resisting arrest. Rapper Chance says Freddie Gray was killed for making eye contact, but according to the long line of acquittals, he died trying to hurt himself in the back of a police van. Tragy P. Henson, who has a history of lying about racial profiling, insists that Alton Sterling was killed for selling CDs outside of a supermarket. The truth of the matter is, he was threatening people with a gun and then resisted arrest. In the struggle, he tried to pull that gun on police and was shot. CDs had nothing to do with his death. Farrell has easily the worst of the bunch when he says Trayvon Martin was killed for wearing a hoodie. There was a criminal trial and a Justice Department investigation that proved Martin was attacking and trying to kill George Zimmerman. Both a jury and the feds found that Zimmerman acted in self-defense and ruled the shooting to be justified. Queen Latifah says Laquan McDonald was killed for walking towards police, but she fails to mention he was high on PCP and armed with a knife during that leisurely stroll. This garbage goes on for a while, with even some douchey white guys like Bono and Adam Levine chiming in. Eventually, Maxwell and Rihanna tell us that blacks are killed for doing nothing other than being black and not being servile enough. As if that weren't bad enough, Alicia Keys ends the video with an Al Sharpton-style shakedown for taxpayer money. Tell President Obama and Congress that the time for change is now. We must right our historic wrongs and heal the wounds of systemic racism so that all Americans have the equal right to pursue happiness, says Keys. She then shouts out an URL that leads to a petition asking for this. Today, our moonshot is finally dealing with our history and persisting issues of racial injustice. As we enter the home stretch of Obama's presidency, now is the time to come to terms with the inequities our fellow Americans have suffered throughout our history and make it right. We want a radical transformation in racial justice and equality, to heal the wounds of a long national history of systemic racism. The way to ameliorate the costs of making things right are directly equal to the cost of the Apollo moon landing. $150 billion directed at poor communities over the next 10 years, will provide access to equal education, healthcare, quality housing, training and jobs, nutrition, and an overhaul of the criminal justice system. Of course, This entire narrative by these celebrities is a bunch of garbage, but there are plenty of impressionable young people that will believe since famous entertainers are peddling it. The question to these delicate geniuses is, how is spending $150 billion going to fix anything? All of the stories they mentioned in their video had a backstory to it where these black men and women were at fault somehow. A cheaper and more accessible fix to this supposed problem is to teach young people to respect police officers and follow the law. However, we all know that isn't going to happen since that promotes personal responsibility, which is something that the younger generation does not want to do. It is much easier for these race baiters to pass the blame on to others and continue pushing a victimhood mentality than promoting personal accountability. Thank you for watching this video. What do you think about this? Share this on Facebook and Twitter along with your comments.